I never thought something as simple as mixing gelatin, orange, and honey could transform my skin in such a short time. At 75 years old, I had accepted that wrinkles, dry skin, and dull tone were the inevitable parts of aging. I looked at myself in the mirror and no longer recognized the person staring back. My skin sagged a little more each month, my hands lost firmness, and even the most expensive creams didn't seem to make a real difference. But everything changed out of curiosity. A friend told me about a natural recipe, something she had tried by chance with ingredients we all have at home: unflavored gelatin, fresh orange juice, and a tablespoon of honey. It sounded too simple to be true, but I decided to try it without high expectations. What happened in the following days was unexpected. On the third day, I noticed my skin felt softer. By the fifth day, the texture had completely changed. And on the seventh day, when my daughter hugged me, she said, "Mom, what are you doing to your face? It looks different, more alive." I am not a doctor. I don't sell products, and I'm not here to promise miracles. I just want to tell you what happened to me, how I did it, and why I believe this mixture can help you too. Because sometimes the solution isn't in what's expensive or complicated, but in returning to the natural, to what nourishes the body from within. Today, I'm going to tell you exactly how I prepared it, how I took it each day, and what other small changes I made to finally feel, for the first time in years, comfortable in the skin I live in. And before starting, I'd like to know about you too. How old are you? And from where are you watching me? For years, my skin was like an open book. Every line told a story. Every wrinkle held a memory. But over time, those marks stopped telling anecdotes and started reflecting something harder to accept: the passage of time and neglect. I remember mornings in front of the mirror. I'd turn on the bathroom light and avoid looking too closely. My face looked dull, lifeless. The skin on my cheeks seemed thinner, as if it had given up. And on my neck, sagging was more noticeable than ever. My hands, once firm, now looked rough, with small spots and visible veins. But what hurt the most wasn't what I saw. It was what I felt. Because inside, I didn't feel old. I had energy, the desire to laugh, to learn, to keep enjoying life. But that tired face staring back didn't seem to recognize me. I wondered, how can I feel so alive, yet look so dull? I tried everything. Nourishing night creams, serums promising rejuvenation, essential oils recommended by young influencers who said age is just a number. I spent money that maybe I should have saved for other things. Yet nothing changed. Some creams made my skin a bit softer, yes. But it was superficial, temporary. The lines stayed, wrinkles deepened, and that feeling of tightness didn't go away. It felt like I was trying to cover something deeper, something that needed care from within. Until one afternoon, while having tea with a friend I hadn't seen in years, she interrupted me as I complained about my skin and said, "Why don't you try homemade collagen?" I laughed in disbelief. I thought collagen came in expensive jars or hard-to-find capsules, but she explained something very different. A recipe her grandmother had taught her: unflavored gelatin, orange juice, and a teaspoon of honey. 3 ingredients, nothing more. I didn't fully believe her, but something in her eyes, in her skin so alive for her over 70 years, made me think, what if I try? Sometimes the simplest things are what we need the most, and I was about to discover that. To understand why this simple mixture had such an impact on my skin, you first need to know what collagen really is, and why we lose it over the years. Collagen is a protein, but not just any protein. It's the most abundant in our entire body. It's part of the skin, bones, muscles, tendons, and even blood vessels. You could say it's the natural glue that holds us together. It's what gives our skin that firmness we feel in youth, that elasticity that lets it stretch and return without leaving marks. When we're young, we produce collagen abundantly. At 20, the body works like a well-oiled factory. But from 30 onward, that production begins to decline. Slowly, silently, but steadily. Each year that passes, we generate less. And although we don't notice immediately, the signs begin to show. First, fine lines around the eyes, then skin that no longer bounces back like before. Sagging appears on the neck, arms, even legs. Wrinkles deepen. Skin becomes thinner, drier. It's like everything starts to lose tone, like a rope gradually loosening. But the most important thing I discovered late is that putting creams on the skin isn't enough. Many people think applying collagen as a serum or lotion is enough, but that only acts on the outermost layer. The real change happens from the inside. Our body needs the right building blocks to rebuild collagen. It needs amino acids, vitamin C, and stimuli. That's why what we eat, drink, and how we care for our body directly influences how we look on the outside. Gelatin provides those essential amino acids. The orange gives us the vitamin C the body uses to activate collagen production. And honey, besides being full of antioxidants, has anti-inflammatory properties that help the skin heal and regenerate. When we nourish the body from within, the results show on the outside. It's not about covering up time, but about nourishing the skin with what it truly needs to stay alive. Over the years, I saw how the market filled with products promising eternal youth. Creams, pills, powders, all with the word collagen in big letters on the package. Some cost as much as a week's worth of groceries, others even more. I also fell into that trap. I started taking expensive supplements. Some came in capsules, others in packets to dissolve in water. They had artificial flavors, bright colors, and labels that looked written by scientists. But after weeks, I felt and saw no difference. And if I did, it was minimal, hard to justify for the price I was paying. Then I asked myself a very simple question. Why spend so much money on pills when I can make something just as powerful in my own kitchen with ingredients I've known all my life? The gelatin, orange, and honey mix is not only easy to prepare, but also gave me something no pharmacy product can offer. Confidence in what I'm consuming. I know exactly what's in that spoon I take every morning. No preservatives, no colorings, no unpronounceable names. Just real, fresh, natural foods. And there's something we often forget to appreciate: control. When you make something yourself, you decide the quantity, flavor, texture. You can adjust the recipe to what your body needs. Make it smoother, thicker, sweeter, or more sour. You have the power to adapt the treatment to you, not the other way around. There's also the economic aspect. A box of supplements can cost more than a whole month's worth of natural ingredients. Meanwhile, a package of unflavored gelatin, fresh oranges, and a jar of honey can last several weeks without emptying your wallet. And best of all, no hidden risks, no side effects, no additives that alter your hormones, no mysterious ingredients from who knows where. Homemade collagen is not just a healthy option, it's also a way to trust again in what the earth gives us, in simplicity, in what our grandmothers used before laboratories existed. Sometimes the real revolution is returning to basics. When I first heard that the mixture of gelatin, orange, and honey could help rejuvenate the skin, I thought it was too simple to be true. But after researching a bit more, I understood why these three ingredients together can become what some call a beauty cocktail. First, let's talk about gelatin. It's important that it's unflavored and unsweetened. The kind with bright colors and artificial flavors won't work. We want the purest version, the one that simply says unflavored gelatin on the package. Why? Because that's where the essential amino acids like glycine and proline are found, which the body needs to produce collagen. When we take gelatin this way, we give the body the raw material to rebuild the skin from within. Next comes the orange. Many don't know this, but even if you have all the amino acids available, the body can't produce collagen without a key nutrient, vitamin C, and the orange is loaded with it. By squeezing a fresh orange and combining it with the gelatin, we're not just adding flavor and freshness, but activating the whole biological process necessary for collagen to be synthesized and delivered where it's needed. And finally, the honey. Besides being delicious, honey has very powerful antioxidant properties. It helps fight free radicals, which cause cellular aging. It also has a natural anti-inflammatory effect, helping the skin look more rested, even-toned, with less redness. And although we often think of honey only as something sweet, it's also a great ally for internal hydration. Skin hydrated from the inside looks firmer and healthier. These three ingredients aren't miraculous alone, but together they form a powerful combination. Gelatin nourishes, orange activates, and honey protects. A simple, economical, natural trio that works in harmony with your body. And the best part, you can prepare it yourself at home, effortlessly. Preparing this homemade collagen mix is easier than you imagine. You don't need modern appliances or cooking skills, just a little attention and care. What you're about to do isn't just a recipe, it's a daily act of self-care. Step 1. Boil water and dissolve the gelatin. Start by heating half a cup of water. It doesn't need to be boiling vigorously, just very hot. Once ready, turn off the heat and add a heaping tablespoon of unflavored gelatin. It's important it's pure gelatin, no sugars or added flavors. Stir with a spoon for a few minutes until completely dissolved. The mixture should be totally liquid, without lumps. Step 2. Add the fresh orange juice. While the gelatin rests for a few minutes, squeeze a medium orange. Ideally, it should be freshly squeezed to retain all its vitamin C. Once you have about 1/3 of a cup of juice, slowly add it to the dissolved gelatin. The mixture should be warm, not hot, so as not to destroy the fruit's nutrients. Step 3. Incorporate the honey. Now comes the final touch. Add a tablespoon of natural honey. Don't use processed or industrialized honey. The purer, the better. Stir gently to mix well. Here's a key detail. Don't heat the honey too much, because high temperatures destroy many of its properties. So make sure the mixture is warm before adding it. Once the mixture is ready, pour it into a glass container. You can use a jar or a small mold. Put it in the refrigerator and let it rest for at least 4 hours. If you do it at night, it will be ready the next day. How much to take? With a preparation like this, you can consume between 2 and 4 tablespoons daily. Some prefer to take it in the morning on an empty stomach for better absorption. Others take it at night as part of their rest routine. Both options are valid. The important thing is consistency. Extra tips for storage and serving. Keep the jar tightly closed in the fridge. It can last up to a week without problems. If you prefer it more liquid, you can warm it up for a few seconds before serving, or even add a splash of warm water. You can also experiment with small adjustments. Swap the orange for tangerine, or add a pinch of cinnamon for a different aroma. It's not just a recipe, it's a pause in your day. A simple ritual that gives you control, reminding you that self-care doesn't have to be expensive or complicated. The first days, I didn't expect anything. I had tried so many things without results that I promised myself not to get my hopes up. But from day one, I noticed something that caught my attention. It wasn't a change in my skin. It was something subtler, deeper. It was a lightness in my body, as if something inside was settling. I woke up with less heaviness in my stomach, and that, though small, made me feel different. That morning I walked with more ease, without the usual tiredness in my legs after breakfast. On the second day, something even more curious. My digestion improved. For a long time, I had dealt with bloating after meals, an uncomfortable feeling in my abdomen that seemed normal with age. But that afternoon, after lunch, I noticed my stomach was calm, without the swelling that made me unbutton my pants. It was as if my digestive system had started to breathe more freely. And that night, I slept better. I don't know if it was the honey or the effect of my body feeling lighter, but I rested deeply. I woke up feeling like I had regained something I didn't know I had lost. The third day was revealing. I felt more awake, more energized, like I wanted to do small things I'd been putting off. I tidied a drawer, watered the plants with more energy, even went for a walk without being prompted. It wasn't just physical, it was emotional. I felt capable, energetic, with that spark that sometimes fades with age. And that's when I understood. It wasn't just my skin waking up. It was my whole body. This simple mixture was doing something inside me that went beyond aesthetics. It was reminding me I could still feel good, that my age wasn't a barrier to improvement, that well-being doesn't always depend on complex treatments, but on giving the body what it truly needs to function properly. And to think it all started with a spoonful of gelatin, some orange juice, and a teaspoon of honey. From the 4th day, I started noticing what I had really been waiting for. Although, to be honest, I didn't think it was possible. It was subtle at first. I was washing my face as usual in the morning, and when I wiped my cheeks with the towel, I paused for a second. The texture was different, softer, like the skin had regained the layer I thought I had lost forever. I couldn't fully explain it, but I felt it. On the 5th day, while applying a cream I'd been using for months, I noticed it absorbed faster. My skin took it in more easily. Before, that same cream would sit on the surface. Now it was like my skin really needed it, like it had more life, more openness. I looked in the mirror and for the first time in years, stared without searching for flaws. My pores were less noticeable, especially on my cheeks. The wrinkles, of course, were still there, but they didn't look as dry. There was a new glow, a natural luminosity that didn't come from makeup or expensive creams. It came from within. On the 6th day, my daughter came to visit. She sat across from me, looked at me silently for a few seconds, then asked, "Mom, did you do something to your face?" I told her no. I smiled and showed her the jar with the mixture in the fridge. She laughed. She couldn't believe something so simple was doing so much. And without hesitation, she asked for the recipe. But the most important moment came on the 7th day. I woke up early and, out of habit, looked in the mirror before leaving the bedroom. It was an automatic gesture, one of those we do without thinking. But what I saw stopped me. It was me. Not a young version, not a 40-year-old woman. It was the same woman as always, but more alive, more whole, more me. And that's when I felt the impact that goes beyond skin deep. I saw myself, and I liked what I saw. Not because the wrinkles were gone, not because I looked better. I liked myself because I saw myself cared for, because that brighter skin, that more rested face, was the reflection of a decision to take care of myself again. It was like recovering a part of my self-esteem that had been lost without me realizing it. Not out of vanity, not for aesthetics, but out of self-love. And all that in just 7 days. By this point in the video, you might be thinking all this sounds too good to be true. That it's a nice story, but maybe it lacks scientific basis. And I understand. I thought that too at first. That's why, after seeing the results on my skin, I started researching. Not out of distrust, but out of curiosity. I wanted to understand why this mixture had worked so well in my body. And what I found surprised me. There are scientific studies that explain exactly what I felt in those first 7 days. Studies that show how the combination of gelatin, vitamin C, and natural antioxidants is not only logical, but effective in stimulating collagen production in our bodies. Unflavored gelatin, for example, is almost entirely made of hydrolyzed collagen. That is, collagen already processed so the body can easily absorb it. By consuming it, we provide the body with the building blocks needed to rebuild tissues, skin, hair, nails, even joints. But here's a key detail. The body needs vitamin C to use those building blocks. Vitamin C acts as a bridge. It's the essential cofactor that activates the enzyme responsible for linking amino acids and forming new collagen fibers. Without it, gelatin would have no real effect. That's why squeezing a fresh orange isn't just a healthy gesture. It's the fundamental step that makes this all work. And then there's honey, which many underestimate. But science has proven the natural antioxidants it contains help protect cells from oxidative damage. What does that mean? It reduces the action of free radicals, those tiny molecules that accelerate cellular aging and deteriorate the skin from within. When we combine these 3 ingredients, The body starts regenerating tissue from the inside out. They don't just act on the surface. They work from the digestive system to the dermis, the deepest skin layer. That's where the fibers that give structure, firmness, and elasticity to the face and body are formed. It's not magic. It's simple biochemistry. It's understanding how the body works and giving it what it needs naturally, without forcing anything, without unnecessary chemicals. And the most beautiful part is that this knowledge, which now seems so modern, was actually known by our grandmothers. They didn't talk about enzymes or free radicals, but they knew, with practical wisdom, what the body needs to heal. Once, I started seeing results. I made a promise to myself. I wouldn't stop there. Because the biggest lesson I learned in this process is that care shouldn't be a one-time thing, but a routine, a daily habit of self-love. And that's why I want to share some simple but powerful tips, so this gelatin, orange, and honey mixture isn't just a 7-day experiment, but a real, lasting transformation. First, take it on an empty stomach. When the body isn't busy digesting other foods, it absorbs nutrients better. That's why doing it first thing in the morning can make a difference. It's a moment when the body is receptive, clean, ready to make the most of what you give it. Second, drink enough water. It sounds obvious, but we often forget. You can take collagen every day, but if there's not enough water in your body, your skin can't retain hydration. Collagen needs a medium to work, and water is that medium. Sip water throughout the day, not all at once. Your skin will thank you. Third, eat more vitamin C-rich fruits. Orange is excellent, but you can also add kiwi, strawberry, pineapple, grapefruit. Even vegetables like red bell pepper or broccoli have high amounts of this vitamin. The more variety, the better. Remember, vitamin C isn't stored in the body, so we need to consume it daily. Fourth, avoid what destroys collagen. This was hard for me to accept, but necessary. Excess sugar, alcohol, and smoking are direct enemies of collagen. They break it down, block it, oxidize it. If you want real results, you need to care about what you avoid, not just what you add. And finally, make this a ritual. Don't treat it as a passing fad. Make it part of your daily routine, like washing your face or taking a shower. Even if visible results come quickly, the most important thing is what happens long-term. Because true change isn't just skin deep. It's in consistency, in choosing yourself every day, in saying, today, I take care of myself too. And when that becomes part of your life, the outside simply reflects it. The most beautiful thing about all this is that, over time, I wasn't the only one. After seeing my change, many people around me started trying the mixture. Not because I pushed them, but because they saw me differently. They saw me more energetic, firmer, more radiant, and that sparked their curiosity. One of the first was Mary, my lifelong neighbor. She's 78, always very discreet about her appearance. But one day she said, "You look different. What cream are you using?" When I told her it wasn't a cream but a homemade mixture I took every morning, she didn't hesitate. A week later she rang my bell and said quietly, as if it were a secret, "Look at my hands. They don't feel so dry anymore." And she said it with a shy but sincere smile. Then came Ernest, a friend from the senior center. He wasn't so interested in skin, but in his joints. He'd had knee pain for a long time. He started taking the mixture because he heard collagen could help. A month later, he confessed to me, "I don't know if it's suggestion, but I climbed stairs without holding the handrail," and added, "That hadn't happened in years." Teresa also tried it. She's 82 and always suffered from brittle nails. She was the most skeptical. She told me at her age it wasn't worth trying these things anymore. But after a couple of weeks, she proudly showed me her nails. "They haven't broken anymore. I even painted them, look." And so, little by little, the mixture passed from hand to hand, from mouth to mouth. Each for their own reason, some for their skin, others for their joints, others simply because they wanted to feel better. And that's the most important thing. This isn't about chasing eternal youth or erasing the marks of time. It's about health, well-being, feeling good in your own skin, regardless of age. Because when something so simple improves how you feel when you wake up, how you look in the mirror, how you move through the world, then it's worth sharing. And if others have also tried it and felt the change, maybe it's time for you to give yourself that chance too. After the first 7 days, I was surprised. I didn't expect such a visible change in so little time. But it was at 1 month that I began to understand this wasn't just a temporary effect. It was a real, sustained transformation. The first thing I noticed was the elasticity of my neck. It had always been one of the areas that bothered me most when looking in the mirror. The skin sagged a bit, looked loose, as if it had lost its support. But over the weeks, that skin began to feel firmer. Not smooth like a young person's, of course, but tighter, more structured, as if it had regained some strength from within. The tone of my face also started to change. Some areas were duller, with slight spots, and I felt the skin was no longer uniform. But little by little, I noticed the color was more even. I looked less tired, even on hard days. I even dared to stop using foundation. I liked my face better without makeup. And that was a big achievement for me. Another surprise was my nails. Always fragile, always breaking. They started growing faster, harder, pinker. They no longer broke when opening a can or folding a sheet. And although it seems like a small detail, for someone who had stopped painting her nails out of shame, it was a great joy. And my hair too. I didn't expect it, but it began to shine more. I even felt it was easier to comb, less brittle. A friend told me I looked more put together, which made me laugh, because I hadn't changed anything. I just let my body take care of itself from the inside. But maybe the nicest part wasn't what you saw, but what you felt. I slept better. My rest was deeper, more restorative. I woke up energized. I was in a better mood, more patient, more eager to do things. And that's when I understood this wasn't just a matter of skin. It was something more complete. A sign that when the body receives what it needs, everything improves. Digestion, mood, sleep, self-esteem. Because it was no longer just what I saw in the mirror. It was how I felt inside. And that has no age. After all this journey, there's something I'd like to leave you as a reflection. You don't need to be 20 to have vibrant skin. What you need is to care for yourself with intention. Sometimes we believe time is our enemy, that wrinkles, sagging spots are signs of loss. But that's not always the case. Sometimes they are just signs that we've stopped paying attention to ourselves. I don't seek to erase my years. On the contrary, I value them. But I learned that aging doesn't mean resignation, that we can age with dignity and with glow. This simple mixture, gelatin, orange and honey, wasn't just an experiment for my skin. It was a way to reconnect with myself, to remind myself that I can still improve, that I can still do something for me. So today, calmly and lovingly, I invite you to try it too. Do it for a week, just 7 days, with consistency, with patience, not out of vanity, not out of obligation, but as a gesture, an act of care, one of those silent acts that change many things inside. And if you do, I'd love to know how it went.
Will you dare to try it?
Have you ever tried it before? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to read you. Because this isn't just about skin. It's about how we talk to ourselves, how we treat ourselves, how every morning we can choose to look in the mirror and say, "Today, I take care of myself too." Thank you for staying with me until the end. Thank you for listening to my story. And remember this, taking care of your skin is also a way to tell your body, you still matter to me.